You think rich people are lucky. You think they just woke up one day with better genes, better timing, or better mentors. And here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Most of the time they are not lucky at all. They are reverse thinking. They start with the end result, then they build the steps that punish their own ego, not reward it. If you are watching this in 2026, you are probably exhausted. AI is eating job titles you studied for. Inflation may have cooled on paper, but your groceries, your rent, your insurance, your energy bill still feel like a permanent tax on your life. Meanwhile, the market keeps screaming new highs, and you feel like you are drowning with everyone else pretending it is a calm lake. This is not a personal story, it is a system story. This is not financial advice, this is financial education, and what you are about to learn is a way of thinking that rich people use to turn risk into traction, not feelings, not motivation, mechanisms, reverse order, reverse incentives, reverse expectations. So let me start where most people refuse to start. You can't build wealth by thinking only about what you have today. You build wealth by thinking about what the market needs tomorrow and what the market will reward you for doing, even if it hurts your pride right now. In 2026, the world is punishing the wrong behavior. The old rule was, get a skill, get a job, save money, buy a house, retire. The problem is that rule was designed for a world where middle-class labor was easy to sell. Now AI can do a surprising amount of the work you were trained to do. Companies don't need 10 people writing drafts, they need 2 people reviewing outputs. Companies don't need an army of call center agents, they need a workflow. And even when they still hire humans, they hire fewer humans and they pay less because the bargaining power shifted. That is why the question everyone is asking is now different. In 2020, people asked how to code. In 2026, people ask how to survive automation. And beneath the survival question is the fear of wasting time again. That is why reverse thinking matters. It cuts through the panic and forces you to aim at a measurable target, not a vague hope. Let's talk about a basic example first. Something so simple it feels almost insulting. Imagine you want to become famous in 2 years. Most people ask the wrong question. They say, what content should I make? What platform should I be on? What equipment do I need? How do I sound authentic? Reverse thinking asks a different question. What does fame look like in outcomes? Fame is not a feeling. Fame is a measurable behavior from other people. Fame could be that 2,000 strangers show up to an event because they care about your existence. So instead of starting with your equipment, you start with the crowd. You ask, where do I find 2,000 people in 2 years? Can I connect them through a shared trigger? Like birthdays, like local events, like communities that already exist. Now the brutal twist. You do not need 1,000 strangers to like you. You need a process that creates repeat interactions. And the process might be, you find people with the same birthday month, then you offer a reason for them to attend together. Their relationship with you begins as a service. You don't convince them you are great. You orchestrate the circumstances where they participate. Then you earn attention by being useful. Most people hate this because it turns them into an operator instead of a performer. But that is the point. Rich people do not start with their talents. They start with the end outcome and design the path backward. In practical terms, when you want to build a business, you don't begin with what resources you have in your wallet. You begin with what resources you must control in order to create the outcome. What do you need to acquire? What does the market require for adoption? What do you need to exchange for access to customers? And here is where it gets ugly, because it reveals why the just work harder advice fails. Most people are trying to win by speed. Rich people win by structure. Take this thought seriously. You cannot reverse engineer results if you never reverse engineer incentives. Incentives are everything in money. In 2026, you feel this constantly. You see it in payroll taxes, subscription traps, landlord fee schedules, insurance renewal hikes, and the way employers suddenly restructure when AI can replace the role. The system is not chaotic, it is tuned. So now let's build the core idea you are going to hate, because it sounds like a paradox. Rich people research how to lose money on purpose. Not all losses, not stupid losses, not reckless losses. I mean controlled losses that purchase something more valuable than cash. They buy attention, they buy market access, they buy customer habits, they buy trust loops. Large companies already do this, and they do it before they ever look profitable. According to industry disclosures and public history, firms like Amazon and Facebook were not just selling, they were training markets. They were paying to acquire the right users at the right time. They sacrificed margins so they could gain people and lock in behavior. Why do that? Because if you are trying to sell fast to strangers, you start with zero trust. Trust is expensive. You have to spend money or you have to spend time. Rich people choose money because time is unreliable. You can burn a year and still have no traction. But if you structure an acquisition offer correctly, traction can appear in weeks. Let me give you a micro story that feels small but explains the logic. Picture a new founder, 32 years old, smart, hardworking, and convinced that their product will sell itself. They host a meeting with potential partners. They invite everyone, they prepare a beautiful deck, they even write a persuasive pitch. Then they ask those partners to pay their own way. Do you know what happens? The partners come only if they are already connected, already curious, or already convinced. That means you select for people who are least likely to become loyal customers. You end up with a room full of people who never needed you. Now imagine the reverse. You fund the cost of participation, you cover travel, you reimburse dinners, you treat the meeting like an acquisition expense. What do you buy? Not money back. You buy access to humans who otherwise would not show up. Once they show up, you have a chance to turn curiosity into relationships. This is the logic of lose on purpose. You spend to reduce friction. You pay early so you can earn later. And this is where your brain tries to protect you with a comforting lie. The lie is, if I spend money now, I will become poorer. That lie is emotionally true but financially incomplete. Yes, you might spend. But if spending purchases a repeatable revenue engine, you are not becoming poorer, you are buying a future. In 2026, this matters even more because your competitors are not just other startups. Your competitors are AI-driven efficiency and institutional scale. A small business that only cares about immediate profit gets crushed by businesses that can afford to subsidize acquisition longer than you can survive. Pattern interrupt. Look at the job market. In the old world, workers sold time. In the new world, companies sell outcomes. An employer doesn't pay for typing anymore. They pay for conversion. They pay for reduced churn. They pay for faster shipping. That means if you are a worker trying to monetize yourself, you need to think like the employer. You need to prove you can deliver outcomes, not just perform tasks. Now I want to take you into the second reverse lesson, timing and crowding. There is a physical metaphor that explains the modern marketplace. Imagine a road that everyone can drive on. In the early days of a trend, there are fewer cars. Even if everyone drives the same way, the road flows. But as more people arrive, the road becomes a traffic jam. It does not matter that the road is technically better because it is wider or has better lighting. The number of drivers increases faster than capacity. Now connect it to your life. Think about insurance sales. Think about network marketing. Think about selling courses and mentorship and coaching. 10 years ago, the market felt easier because fewer people were doing it. People were still discovering the concept. People didn't know the scripts. People were not exhausted by the marketing. In 2026, the scripts spread like viruses. Everyone offers the same discount. Everyone posts the same testimonials. Everyone uses the same language. Everyone sells the same product to the same group. And when everyone does the same thing, the only lever left is price. Price is a race to the bottom, and when prices collapse, margins disappear, and then the business collapses. That is why industries get thinned out. Not because the products are bad, because the acquisition cost rises and the differentiation falls. So you ask, how do rich people escape the traffic jam? They do it by changing the order of thinking again. They do not ask how to sell cheaper. They ask how to become the default choice through behavior training. They use offers that create habitual responses. This is not theory. Look at how payment apps and platforms trained users for decades. In the early days, they gave away free rides or discounted transactions at specific times. They did not just give you a benefit, they created a schedule-based habit. The moment the habit is formed, the later price increase is tolerated because the user already changed their behavior. In other words, the free offer is not charity, it is behavioral engineering. That is the dark truth. The market is not a fair marketplace of ideas, it is a battlefield of human routines. Now in 2026, you see this everywhere. Subscription companies discount your first month so they can attach you to recurring payment. Credit card offers reward you with points so you stop comparing rates. Streaming platforms binge you into a locked-in routine. Even social media sells you the illusion of free content while harvesting attention and data. You are not paying with money, you are paying with behavior. So when someone tells you just be patient, the market will reward you, they are ignoring the mechanism. Markets reward structures, not dreams. Now let's escalate to the third reverse lesson, and this is where you will feel resistance. Reverse thinking is not only about losing money for customers, it is also about losing money for your team. Most people treat their team like an expense. The team is a cost center, you pay them, and then you demand output. You act surprised when morale collapses. You act surprised when turnover spikes. You act surprised when your culture dies. Rich people treat their team like a multiplier. They invest so the team can become effective. That means sharing revenue early and sharing it in a way that aligns incentives. They do not just pay salaries, they create ownership-like behavior through commissions, bonuses, and repeatable earnings loops. Micro story. Imagine an insurance agent named David. He sells policies and earns commissions. When he starts, the commission helps him survive. He uses it to eat. He uses it to pay rent. He uses it to keep the lights on. That is normal. Now reverse the scenario. David sells one contract. Instead of hoarding the commission to feel safe, he uses part of it to invite clients to events, not expensive dinners. Think small. Coffee, a simple meal, a community gathering. He uses it to become present in their lives as a friend, not a stranger. If those clients trust him, they introduce him to other clients. Now David has created a relationship asset. He didn't just earn cash, he trained a network. That relationship asset is invisible until it pays. In finance, we call visible assets. Assets, we call invisible assets goodwill. But in business reality, goodwill is what keeps compounding happening after marketing budgets run out. And in 2026, invisible assets are even more valuable. AI can create content. AI can generate sales emails. But AI cannot substitute trust with your neighbors. AI cannot replace a community's memory of how you showed up when things went wrong. Pattern interrupt. Let's talk about the retirement crisis for a second, because it explains why invisible assets matter. Social security in many countries is strained by aging populations, and underfunded pensions are being reevaluated as governments adjust assumptions. People are delaying retirement not because they are passionate about work, but because their savings do not cover reality. When safety nets weaken, people cling to relationships that create stability. A professional who becomes part of someone's decision process has leverage, not the leverage of hype, the leverage of being trusted when the stakes rise. So if you build a business in 2026, do not only chase revenue, chase the kind of structure where your team grows wealth alongside you. Otherwise, you will keep buying labor with anxiety, and anxiety is expensive. Now here is the fourth reverse lesson, and it is the one that connects everything. Your product does not matter as much as you think. What matters is whether you found customers with a problem they already feel. Most people build a product in isolation. They invent something, they craft a service, they polish the features, then they go searching for buyers like a fisherman throwing a net into unknown water. That is the wrong order. Reverse thinking says, find the customers first, find demand first, then design the offer. And you can do this in any industry: e-commerce, insurance, fitness, software, even content. If you are selling something but you do not understand why customers want it, you will always feel like the market is unfair. You will always feel like you are not getting traction. But the truth is simpler and harsher. You built something you like, not something the market confirmed. A market confirmation is not a like, it is behavior, it is purchase. It is repeat purchase. It is referrals. It is customers coming back without being forced. So if your campaign is failing, the failure is not your personality, it is your order. You are selling first, then hoping someone learns to need what you sell. In 2026, hope is not a strategy. Crowds are saturated, ads are expensive, customer attention is fragmented. AI makes it easier to copy your visuals. AI makes it easier to generate competitor content. The difference is not your creativity, the difference is your understanding of demand. This is also why influencer marketing works. Influencers do not begin with a product. Many times they begin with an audience. They already have customers. Then they pick a product that fits the demand their audience already has. That is reverse thinking in action. Think about the creator economy illusion that dominates social media. People believe they can become rich by posting. But most creators make $0 because the system rewards reach, and reach is dominated by a small number of accounts. Even those accounts often earn from sponsorships, affiliate deals, and platform incentives, controlled by the same corporations that own distribution. If you want a career, you need real demand validation, not a fantasy audience. Now let's connect this to AI disruption, because it will sting. AI can help you produce, but it does not solve demand. AI does not magically create trust. AI does not magically create a reason for a customer to spend. So in 2026, the reverse thinkers are not the best coders. They are the best demand hunters. They are the ones who find people in pain and then build a pathway that reduces pain fast. Now we should talk about the one part that sounds unethical to people with fragile morals, but is actually just basic strategy. Rich people do not wait for perfect conditions. They create conditions where adoption becomes rational. In 2026,